and welcome back. I'm absolutely delighted today to be talking to Lucy Wood, who is the Director of Educational Development for Aspris. She's been heavily involved in the work down in Abu Dhabi with Al Karama School. I think founding principal. Is that right? Yeah, cool.
That's right.
Lucy, tell me about some of the work that you're doing.
So the school is well established now. I came out here in 2019. The school is now full and received outstanding last June. So very, very happy with the results that it's been having. So now since October, I've been setting up an outreach program to go into schools to deliver outreach for speech and language and occupational therapy, and also guiding SENCOs and inclusion managers when they might need more support with psychiatric assessment or diagnostic assessment for autism, just working generally with parents. The clinic itself in Abu Dhabi works directly with the schools as well. So we make sure that we set up coffee mornings where we can answer any questions that parents might have, or any of the staff. I think one of the things that sets us above other clinics is the time that we will spend nurturing a school and supporting them. And I think that's what's really needed. It's having run specialist schools in the past, they're always very, very busy, but the SENCOs and inclusion managers, we recognise with the inclusion projects, they've got a very hard job, and it's sometimes just useful to have somebody to talk to when you've got problems.
Absolutely.
And our therapists are very skilled at that.
Yeah. So let's go to Al Karama for a little bit, because you were the founding principal. So within that, that is a school specifically for children with autism with a high level of need, right? And within that school, you already have clinicians and support mechanism woven through the school system, right? You have speech and language on site, OT on site, and then you do all of those parent support groups and obviously teacher training. So you have experience of that full diverse need. So in Dubai, all of our inclusion takes place inside mainstream schools. We don't have those. Right. Yeah. Separate. So you also know that our teachers and our support staff and our heads of inclusion need that additional support. So it's multifaceted, the support that schools need, right? So parent support, teacher training, speech and language, OT, heads of inclusion, specialist training. Which part of that? So Aspris, you have 2 offices in Dubai, 1 in Abu Dhabi and one in Saudi. But if we just think about Dubai for a second, because I think in Abu Dhabi you're quite well established. In Dubai, what can you offer to schools? Let's start with schools first.
Yeah, so in City Walk, we've opened up a new clinic. So within the clinic, we can offer psychiatric and psychological support for children. So if they have mental health problems or anything like that, that doesn't go into the school. Whereas into the school, we bring speech and language and we bring occupational therapy. One of the things that I found in Abu Dhabi that's been very successful is our therapists are trained to go in, and sometimes SENCO might not be sure if a child needs support at all, and we'll just carry out an assessment for about 15 minutes initially, just to give them some idea whether that child actually does need the specialist
screener,
or not, because they're really not sure. The other thing that we can do is we can attend annual reviews where we can add that extra layer of expertise. I think from my mind, one of the most important things with our staff is to work with the SENCO, but also work with the teachers. So what I don't like is when a plan for a child is made in isolation. So if they make a plan for a child, that really has to be shared with the class so that they know exactly what's needed, and they share in the monitoring. So although the clinician takes that responsibility, they guide and they support to make sure that seamless provision is given to the school. It's working really well at the moment. I'm really pleased. So I'd love to have this opportunity to develop this in Dubai.
Right. I think it's brilliant. I think that because we've had the inclusion framework here since 2017, a lot of our heads of inclusion are incredibly skilled at that screening and support that goes into making sure the children get what they want. So if they require that full assessment, they can put the family in touch with the clinic and they can go down to the clinic and have that assessment, or you can take that into the schools. I think that's the interesting part.
Okay, so what the system that we've got in place at the moment is that what happens is if a school's interested in our services, they would contact me. I would give them a in-depth explanation of what we can offer, what we can't. They can raise any questions that they might have. Following that, I would then put them in contact with the clinic manager who line manages the therapists, and then they would liaise directly with the clinic. So they would arrange for whatever services pre-starting with children that the SENC or the inclusion manager might feel that they might need. I mean, sometimes I find that sometimes SENCers want to meet the therapist. One of the main questions that comes up is, will I be able to get one therapist? I think because some schools have been given a succession of therapists, we don't do that. If we send therapists in, that's your therapist or your therapists, but therapists that might visit your school. We do have a condition that we would need 5 children to book. So
of course, because you have all of those additional costs of travel and extra time, and so it makes sense to do that. And so for 5 children, that would be 5 hours, so that's a full day's work, right?
No, we can do up to 7 hours in a day, but we would do a minimum of 5. But all that would be sorted out in the beginning. We'd also set up an MOU with the school so that so that they know exactly what the conditions are around the therapist. But I think one of the most important things for me is for the SENCos, though they're very experienced, what I've found is it's really useful that they know that they've got somebody like me that they can contact, even if they just want a sounding board for something. And it proves really helpful. And although they liaise directly with the clinic managers, if there's any issues or they want to take something away, they can always contact me. So they have my direct contact details. But actually, I found the clinic managers are very skilled. They've developed very good relationships with the schools. And it's going really
we're very,
well.
very, very, very used to that. We work directly with therapists. We work directly with with those specialists. So the therapy that you do, is that pull out, or do you do push in as well into the classroom? Because generalizing those experiences is also very, very important.
Absolutely. I think for our therapists, they feel it depends on the child. It depends.
And the need, 100%.
Sometimes it's not helpful to go into the class, and sometimes it is. Sometimes a plan might be that it's half and half, that they start off outside and then gradually lead them into the class, because as you know, sometimes it is the classroom environment where you see those difficulties more than if you take them out on a one-to-one session. So it's very dependent, it's very unique on what the individual child might need.
Awesome. But and if the child has a learning support assistant and they are employed by the family or by the school, would you welcome those into those therapy sessions as well? Because again, it's about the generalization into all the time.
Absolutely. I would want, and our therapist would want, whatever plan for the child runs in the school, but also at home. So it would be really helpful if they've got nannies or support workers with them. Then actually, yes, we would want them in, and we would share the plan with them and guide them accordingly. So that's a really good question, Louise.
I think that, well, I think that's kind of where we're at now here in Dubai, is that we want that, we want that generalization of skills through their lives, because what we know is one standalone session outside of class just with a therapist, it's 1 hour out of however many hours they're in a week. Whereas if you have somebody there who is with the child more frequently, they can then practice and put those skills into every single lesson, every single day, which means you get faster progress, right?
What I found really helpful is when the therapists go into a class and they sometimes help with the environment, because that can make such a difference. Advise the teacher, advise the staff, and also different techniques that can be used within the classroom to promote learning, individualized learning. So it's a very good company to work for, Aspris. The therapists that they have are highly skilled, hence the success of opening up 4 clinics.
And all of the funding comes from parents?
Well, it can, yes, but some of the parents will have insurance.
Yes,
so every that's the the clinic managers are very skilled at dealing with that side of it. So we've got a number of insurance companies that we cover within our clinic. So and many parents use that. Some pay privately and some have got insured.
Right. But the relationship that you build with schools is not paid for by schools as such. It's paid for by the therapy fees. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, good. Just making sure.
Yeah, no, the school doesn't receive any. No, it's a good question. The schools don't receive a charge for that. It's definitely through the individual.
Because that's quite a good resource to have you on tap, to be able to call you, to be able to use you as a sounding board. That's a really good resource for schools. And if the funding comes through the therapy, then that's a win-win for schools, because every single conversation you'll be having will be upskilling a member of staff, right?
Yeah, what's been really interesting to me is coming here from UK, having worked in schools with therapists in UK, because we're lucky enough, we've got nearly 40 schools, special schools in UK. And then when I came to the United Arab Emirates, and the health model, the therapy model is very much a health model, not an education model. Whereas it needs education.
Yes.
It really does need education. And so Aspris have put me in that position, which I love.
Good.
So I'm working between health and schools to be in that position where I can advise and guide and make sure that connection, they're not patients, they're students.
Yes,
that's
people. We're just people.
Yes,
that's all
absolutely.
They're
just human. And so it's that. I mean, it's like a different language, but actually it's helpful. And I think it's helpful for me, having been a principal and open several schools with special needs, to be able to know, exactly what principals are going through, and Senkos within the unit.
So schools are interested. They like what you've got to say. They want to have that in-depth conversation that you spoke about at the beginning. How can they proceed? How do they get in contact with you or one of your team?
So they can always contact us through the clinic. Details are with the brochure.
Okay, fabulous. So on my website, I will place your brochure, and there is lots of information on the site about the location and the services that you offer. So I would like to thank you for taking the time to talk to me. It's really important for our community, and it means a lot to me that you've come online with me. And thank you very much to anybody that is listening. Whether you are a parent or a school, if anything that Lucy has said interests you and you'd like to get in contact, just contact. The numbers are all on the website. Thank you very much for listening again. Take care, and I'll see you on the next one.
Thank you so much, Louise.